stage. Right, testing my mic.
Testing.
Hi, everyone. James of Arc here. Welcome to Arc Live, coming to you from Network School in the Singapore Johor zone. It's amazing to be back for episode 3, 4. I'm starting to count at 0 was not a clever thing with this, but super amazing to have you here, and thank you for listening. We're going to dive straight into it as normal. I'm here with Jake. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Yeah, glad I can make it, James.
Thank you very much. I'm like, why are you here?
It's hard to say. I think I've just kind of been following this path for a while that kind of led me here. I think when I was a teenager, I actually played an online game, like a massive multiplayer role-playing game.
Sure.
That had, and I was in a clan on the game of like 200 people, and all from different countries around the world. So I had like friends from all over. And I think I'm naturally just like the idea of like having people around the world from different countries and backgrounds all be together and be like aligned by some common goal.
Yeah.
Is very like, it's just natural for me. So I think that's probably kind of like where I really grabbed onto this idea and why I probably ended up here. Yeah.
What was the game?
RuneScape.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's like similar to World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so were you ever like leading those raids or whatever it's called?
No, I was not a combat person. I was a skilling clan. So like I would like, we would do mining, thieving, fishing, woodcutting, those kind of like skills, and then we'd all like level up together.
This is literally the real world version of that.
I know, that's why it's really bizarre.
Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
My mom was just telling me that. She's like, it's like you're in the real life version of what you did as a teenager. Yeah.
It's so interesting, right? Because I feel like the network state concept can be confusing to some people, but actually it's like super simple at a basic level. The point is there's all these people that you might hang out with digitally, where you share values or interests, and the point is just like bringing you together physically. And maybe you can actually enjoy the same sort of things in the in the real world, right? There's maybe some more bits to it, but at a basic level, it's just sort of like doing that. Very, very, very interesting. Okay, so was there a lot of coordination? I actually like know quite a lot of entrepreneurs that did these sort of like online games in their sort of like teams where you're just like leading these like organizations, whatever it is, that actually directly maps into sort of like leading teams and organizations in the real world.
Yeah, it's weird because like a lot of my best skills, I would say I got from that game, but I ended up working like a normal job as like an engineer for like 8 years, and I was a big part. I think I never really loved my job a lot because I always felt like I have like really good like hidden skills that don't get to be used in this job at all, basically.
My brother did similar. I think he got incredible management skills for leading this. I didn't do RuneScape or World of Warcraft. I did how do you all know it's Planet Arion or Utopia. Like these were like pure no graphics, pure like text-based games.
Oh wow!
And it was all politics in the chat room, basically.
You did that?
And I was like this like 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, and I couldn't even afford to pay. I didn't have a credit card to pay, and so these like random adults around the world that I was sort of like leading in these tribes or like paying for me to play. And it was just like, but yeah, it was just like politics in these channels, like global alliances, just like insane. I had to stop. You know, the way to not to win, but you have to wake up at like 3 in the morning when everyone's asleep, and that's not a good thing to be doing as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
God. Okay. Anyway, back to this. It's actually so interesting, that analogy of RuneScape and just doing all that sort of like leveling up, and what's actually sort of like happening here.
Yeah.
How much do you think this? You know, was it what you expected when you came there?
A little bit. Yeah, I think a little bit. Yeah. So I went to the conference in Amsterdam, the first one. And a lot of the people I met at the conference, I immediately was like, wow, these are like very genuine people. And I was surprised that I thought it would be like more crypto people. It was a little bit, but it had a pretty nice spectrum of people. And everyone is like super motivated and super interesting. And I think I just was like right away, I was like meeting people. We had meetups before the conference and after. I'm like, wow, I really like vibe with these people.
Yeah.
So I just kind of expected coming here is going to be a lot of people that I met there, kind of, and it basically has been. So I've really enjoyed meeting the people here, and in a lot of ways, it is like people that I'm way more connected with, I would say. So even being here, like after a week, I'm like, okay, I already made like a couple of really good friends, like people that I'll probably be friends with a long time now, and just like less than 3 weeks.
It's too busy. I'm sorry we haven't spoken more. This is my excuse for doing this.
You've been on my list. I was like, I gotta talk to
Jake and I have never really had a conversation,
no.
and I give no one any preparation for coming on there. And it's just my excuse to get to know people, right? You see it like literally live. Okay, so you're at Amsterdam, but when did you even get involved? And again, you're famous for explaining things. You do a lot of explaining stuff with regards to kind of like the cities, the states, and how the kind of like world works. Like, when did you start this? Why did you get interested in this stuff? In a kind of like anyway,
well, I was following Botology probably for a year or two, up until he came out with the Network State book. And when he came out with the book, I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this for sure. Like, I read the book, and actually, all of it was super interesting to me. I thought it was really cool. I like geopolitical stuff, history stuff. So it has a nice mix of everything I like. And then it got to like the actual network concepts part, which is like the last part of the book. And that part was like when I first read it, I was like, this seems like a little like, I don't know if this seems possible. This seems like a little farther out to me, like maybe like 10 to 20 years. But it wasn't until I went to the conference in Amsterdam and seeing like all the different companies that are already kind of working in this space. So then seeing that all together and then all the people, I'm like, oh wow, this is actually like, I think this can happen sooner than I thought. And then when he announced the school, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna for sure go there and check it out. It was like an easy decision.
No. So when did you start? I mean, how do you describe what you do?
Well, I would say engineering, is like my job, but it's weird because I also like teach astronomy out of college, so I kind of like I think that sounds cooler than engineering sometimes. But then I've gotten into content creation over the last year. So then when I'm meeting people here, I'll just say I'm doing content creation. It's easier.
What do you think of astrology?
Astrology, I've grown to think it over time. What I actually made it when I teach my class, it's like observational astronomy. So we go outside and we actually use like telescopes, and I teach like how to use telescopes and what to look at with telescopes. But then every class I joke because I teach them about like the zodiac constellations and celestially like why they're important and how they're like along the sun's path.
Yep.
And then I always joke like this isn't like astrology. I don't really talk too much about it, but over time I've grown like, it's fun to learn a little bit about it and then like talking to people about it. Everyone wants to know about astrology. So I'm not like anti, but it's fun to talk to. You can have fun conversations with it.
No, I agree. It's like, again, I feel like actually we should do some like debate series and it's like the astronomy versus astrology.
Yeah, I would love that.
It is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it's like I'm probably more on the astronomy side, but what's so interesting about astrology is like, it's important to such a large number of people that it's 100% having an impact, regardless of what you believe on. Right? This is like an actual cultural phenomenon, right? Yeah. It's a value set. It's very, very interesting for multiple things. But okay, so you said that you would call yourself a content creator.
Yes, yeah. It sounds weird, but yeah.
I guess am I a content creator now?
Yeah, you are. You're in the club now. Yeah, you're in the club.
Like I've never felt so. Desperate. And
it's tough. It gets easier.
Does it get easier? I don't know, mate. It's like a sad state of affairs, like caring about people's life.
You just got to keep grinding through it. Like each month, you'll get a little better. Maybe at the lighting or the audio. You just got to like you got to expect it over time to get
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like it's an interesting thing, and I want to dive into the subject because again, like you, I want to hear more about what you're doing actually. Which is more fun. It's okay. Content creator. What content are you creating? Like, what do you?
Yeah, so I always thought like, thinking about like what I should do. I was like, maybe I should start like a company. I have a lot of ideas and stuff, but I was like, you know what? I think content creation like fits my vibe more, and I teach, so naturally I just started making astronomy shorts, like short form content astronomy videos, and I made about like 20 of those, and I they didn't do like super well, but I learned as I got through them, and then I over time I started I called it like Jake Explains, so I can kind of venture wherever I want. Wherever I find curious, I'll just like start explaining
Yeah.
it. So I went from astronomy stuff, and then I started dipping into like economics and like covering different countries, like China and India particularly,
Yeah.
like how China is just manufacturing is crazy, and India is like more of an up and coming country, and a lot of people don't appreciate the extent of either of those. So I started making a couple videos about each of them, each country, and then those started doing really well. Same with the economic stuff, all was doing better than the astronomy content.
Interesting.
So over time, I've just stopped making astronomy content, and now I do countries. And I'm really interested in like the future of countries, so it makes sense for me to like kind of as my niche, kind of honing in on just
Yeah.
explaining countries themselves.
It's really interesting. Why, is it just that there are more people that are interested in the topics you're talking about now than astronomy, or is it just that like the algorithm started picking that up?
Could be either. I could have gotten better at content creation. Who knows if I just stuck with astronomy? I would imagine I'd be doing better than when I first started. That's why I tell people over time, you have to make like 30 to 50. If you want to get into content, I think short form is the way to go because you can get hired. The algorithm really gives you good data. It'll tell you if the video is good or not. So just start doing short form content and have a goal of like 30 videos or 50 videos. And you're going to have like at least 2 videos that do well. And then you'll be like, why did those ones do well? And then you kind of like, okay, those did well. And then you start doing more of what that was. And so over time, you will get better, absolutely. But the key is you have to stay consistent and have a goal of like 30 videos. So I think it's something that easily you can get better at, basically.
It's interesting. Okay, so where do people find you? Actually, I mean, this is actually quite funny. I know Jake Explains. Right? If someone just types that in,
hopefully
Instagram,
that's my goal
on the top?
Yeah, it should. Yeah,
it's so interesting because when people even introduce you here or talk about you here, it's not just, it's like Jake Explains.
I know, it's kind of funny. I've never had that dynamic. It's pretty funny.
It's just interesting importance of branding and what you've done well, right? It says it on the fucking tin, even the username, right? Like what you're actually doing.
I think it's cool. Yeah, it was weird. I was just like in one of the, I came up with the idea when I was in a sensory deprivation tank because I like those. They're really good to think about ideas. So I'll like in California they have easy access, so I go to like once a month and just think of ideas. And it hit me one day. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I actually like came outside of the tank and I was like, whoa, this is like a really good brand idea.
Yeah.
And it's cool because like Jake Explains, and I just take out the E, so it's like one E in the middle, so it kind of looks cool too.
No. It's interesting. Okay, so again, give us an example. Like, what's a video that's been a hit? Tell us some interesting stuff about cities.
Yeah, I haven't done too much about cities. It's been more about like countries and stuff.
Sure.
And one video that's done really well, so I've been doing like series on countries, and as I do the different series about the different countries, I'll pick different topics for each country, and I learn which does well and which doesn't do well. So for example, I did like India leads in whatever. Like India leads in like mango production. They have like the most digital transactions. And it's kind of fun for me to research this about countries. But that video about like what India leads in did extremely well. So now I'm applying that same video and I applied it to Germany. What does Germany lead in? And it's a 1-minute video, and that video did extremely well. So now I'm going to repeat that video as well. Same thing with a video on misconceptions. The misconceptions of India. That did well. So then I repeat that for India. I repeat that for Germany and whatever country I'll do in the future. And another one I just discovered that I'm excited to do more of is like the people of a country. So I'm actually making videos on Ohio right now, where I'm from, and they're doing surprisingly well. But I really fun. I like to make the content fun and funny a little bit if I can.
Sure.
So one video I'm doing like, who are the people in Ohio? And then I'm like, I make it almost like a video game, like the farmer, and then the redneck, the blue collar worker, the Amish, and I try to like cover all the people in Ohio, and I'm like, oh, this would be fun to do for other countries too. So it's just like I want people to watch the country's videos and learn a lot, but also maybe find it and make it have some fun with it and make it That's kind of like my personality, so I kind of want that to come out in my videos.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's great. Do you ever play Wordle?
Oh no, I haven't gotten into that. Yeah.
Okay, not Wordle, but like what you're talking about there with the breaking
That
down. Do you
would.
know Tradle?
Never heard
So
of
it's
that
a
one.
much better version, and you're going to love it way more than Wordle. It's like Tradle dot something, but basically it just gives you a diagram of the breakdown of a country's GDP by sector. So it will be like pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, whatever it is. Then you have to guess what country it is just off the breakdown of the stuff, right? So it's way better. And then whatever you guess, it will then give you like actually the country's like 5,000 kilometers in this direction. That's just it. So it's like a geography / like an understanding of sort of like world economies. I think you might like it.
I need to get that game now. Yeah, I should have had that game a month ago. That's exactly the stuff I'm finding interesting. Like, and that's videos I want to make too. Like, what does that country specialize in? Like, I learned North Korea has like they export their top exports fake hair. Yeah, and their top imports human hair to make the fake hair. So it's just like facts like that.
But how does that work? If it's human at one end, how does it end up being fake at the other?
Well, I guess it's not fake, but it's like people use it like a fake beard or a wig.
Or they think they're using a fake, but actually it's like
real
North Korean slaves.
Yeah, like if I was bald, it would be fake hair, but it is real hair technically.
But this is super interesting, right? Because again, one of the things that Balaji's been super early on is this point about like the founder creator and the founder engineer, right?
Yeah,
and you're straddling this a little bit, right? But like he's been super early on that. And again, I think that's why you fit here, right? I think like NS cares a lot about people being able to like tell their stories, and like you just sort of like lend into this.
I've grown to appreciate that too. And there's so many like founders here, and it's like they have the half of the puzzle, and then there's not a creator to match with them. So there's actually, I think, a lot of opportunities here for people that want to get into content creation because there's so many founders. And I think over time, like what Balaji says, you need to have like a founder creator combo, like someone who's like the founding, more the engineering side, but then someone who's like the one that's vocal about it and like does the content creation and like, what does it show as on social media. And they're both equally important now because you can make a great product, but if there's no way to distribute that product on like Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, then it's like, what's the point? You know? So every founder needs to have like almost a creator. Right? I think it's going to get more and more important, more obvious that you need that.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly something here that I feel that like for like a startup and like tech environment, like I think there's a more welcoming place for sort of like content creators in the world in terms of like people really respect sort of the importance and the role that that they play, not just in participating, but in leading and building sort of like companies. But a question on that though, right? Like again, like you becoming an expert in this niche, an algorithm that's working, right? And it is working. You're 6-figure followers, and this is sort of like growing, right? Does that then limit like the types of companies that you can found though? That it sort of has to be relevant to sort of like the kind of like the audience that you sort of like if you launched an astrology zodiac sort of like business, like that might not be the
and a good example. That's a great question because there's this YouTube video about this guy that made a mobile astrology app, and how it basically started was there was like a founder engineer that created that wanted to create an astrology app. He found a girl on TikTok that was already posting about solely astrology content, and he connected with her, and then now they founded the app together. So every TikTok video she makes now about astrology, she plugs the app, and that app is now making like $60,000 a month of revenue. So it's like they kind of work together, and now she's the distribution for that. So you can almost like, I would almost recommend like if I was building something, I would try to think either start content creating for it, or start finding people that it could possibly work with plugging that have good audiences for it. I think that's like something you could possibly do as well.
Very interesting. Have you mapped out what your plan is over the next few years, like where you're sort of like taking this?
Not really. I've kind of been going like month by month. Really, it's been fun just to kind of go where it takes me. But like I didn't plan on honing in on like doing just content on countries, and I think that makes the most sense for me. But I think I'm at a good point now where I can start like scaling it, because over time with content creation, you need to figure out like what are you good at. So right now I do everything. I do the idea generation, I do the filming, and then I do the editing, I do the posting. But eventually I want to find someone that can do like my script writing and editing, so that I can just do the idea generation, video recording, and posting, And those two components there take up most of my time. So if I have someone doing both of those, like one of each, I can really grow probably way faster. So that's like my next goal, basically.
Yeah, I think this has got to be the first plug. If you're looking
Yeah.
for a job, I am hiring full time to do a ton of stuff here on the ground in Network School. Actually, both across like content creation, storytelling, all the rest of it. There's so many amazing things that are happening here. But literally doing so much stuff here. So like actually reach out to me, DM me on Twitter if you're sort of interested. That's a plug. I was actually meant to have someone already, or supporting purely on the content side. And so, forgive us for the.
You see how important it is. You need to like, no one's going to know what your story is and what you're doing without the content being created.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You need it.
It's a long story, that one, when it comes to me.
When I came here, I thought there'd be more content creators. I thought I would be like in the middle of the pack or behind in the somewhere like someone's experience, but not like I've only been doing it less than a year.
Yeah.
But I was shocked to know like there's such a high demand for content creators here, and a lot of people that are interested in content creation but not doing it. So immediately when I came here, I'm like, oh, I can actually just help people make content creation, because I'm always bugging my friends. I'm like, you got to make it. You just start, since once you get into something, you want to like tell more people to do it. So I tell a lot of people to make content creation. I can identify if I talk to someone, I'm like, dang, you need to be making content about that type of thing.
Yeah.
So now when I came here, it's been great. I've been hosting like a weekly session, and then anyone that wants to learn how to make content creation, they just come to it. And then we have this accountability thing where like we all need to make a video per week, and then each week I'll like play the videos, and we collectively like figure out, oh, maybe you could have made the hook a little better or the idea a little bit better, and just try to help each other out. So it's been really fun for me doing that right away after like 3 weeks.
Super interesting. I mean, is that why because you're here long term, right?
Yeah.
You've signed contract, be here year plus really time, right? Yeah. It's like 1 in 2 people here have basically. That's insane. But why? Just because out of the benevolence of your heart, you want it just to help everybody, or like what was your reasoning for how this fits into your,
I wanted to spend like a year. I was going to take 2 years off my job anyways and spend at least a year in Southeast Asia. So this basically, this will be my year in Southeast Asia, and being able to be around a lot of people, like just agency people that motivate me. I mean, I'm getting people helping me with ideas about my content just right away. Like so it's just being around the community. I think I've always wanted to have like a good community, and like that I can make friends and just like have people that I'm around, because that's something I've never really had. I have like good friends, but I don't have like a community. Like my buddy rock climbs, and that's a really nice like community he always has. My other friend does like salsa dancing. He has a community there, and you can just tell it makes the person happier.
Yep.
So like now that I'm here, it's like being around a community. I definitely feel happier because of that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there is sort of, and again, I mean, this is why I'm always like, people ask me all the time, like, James, you think it's a good idea to do X or Y? And like, unless it's like a really retarded idea, I'm always like, yes.
Yeah.
We just need, I mean, there's already an incredible diversity of what kind of like is happening here. Like, but the more and more we have, the more viable it is for more people to find those niches and to have that, that particular niche of a community within this community that then is like things that they really enjoy doing. It's like, can you believe like, we've had darts for the last like 10 days, right? And that would be such like a shelling point for stuff. I have I mean, again, we do these burns every day, right? Yeah, I go and throw some darts. I can throw both hands, right? And then I've got like ache in my arms. I have to stop doing darts. Again, before I get like a darts injury. It's insane. But there's an amazing like.
I think that's the most exciting thing about it is it's such a growing organism. It's so like global, and who knows what feature we'll have a month from now or 2 months from now. So I think that to me is really exciting, seeing how it can it's so morphable. If you have a skill set, you can come here and just like offer it. I think that's kind of cool. So being here now, I'm like learning more like what is really unique and cool about this place. Besides, like I like the product of just being around a community, but I'm also learning like, oh, who is this really for? And I think a lot of people it fits.
Yeah, it's actually insane how diverse the people are sort of here. Maybe like final kind of like question, because actually again I want to point people to search for Jake Explains on Instagram, right? And like, if they're looking on Twitter, what's sort of interesting actually, right, is that again you have this substantial following on Instagram, and I guess my final question might be then like, just you've cracked the algorithm there, right?
For sure.
Cracking that then on all these other platforms, like is it that you just have to build like an entirely different basic like business for each of these different platforms? Like how are you finding that?
You basically like for me, like I don't have a marketing on Twitter at all, basically. So I've talked to people here that are better at that, and they've actually already given me advice on how I can start posting more of the videos I make. I could make it X content and then start posting on there. But I think you need to figure out like what your market is. And for certain people that are doing certain businesses, like you really need to have a stronger presence on X. But for my explainer type videos, like they're fine on X, but the market is better on TikTok and Instagram. Absolutely. And then YouTube's okay.
Did you meet Alistair yet, or has he maybe not been?
Maybe not, no.
Because again, he's another great. He's got like 1 billion views on YouTube, right? And again, it's the same as you go on Twitter. I think he's got like 50 followers, right?
Yeah.
This, like, this it's not simple.
It's not.
But Jake, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
Jake, it's funny. It's pleasure.
Yeah.
And then I have no idea. We're either going to have surveillance tech or drone tech next, and we're going to dive straight into that. Again, do reach out if you want a job. I'm hiring. There's other organizations I'm hiring here kind of as well, but we're going to go straight in. Please come in. My man, how you doing?
Hi,
pleasure. Thank you for being here. Actually, would you like some coffee, or do we leave this for Nura? Would you like coffee?
Yes.
Oh, you tuck in straight away, right? You pour yourself some of that. Again, thanks to Kindred, our incredible first partner of the show. This is the coffee for creators that, it's basically actually sold out every time I look in any of the fridges these days. I think it's too popular, and you now have to pre-order it if you want to drink it. So clearly some supply side issues, but yeah, coffee for creators. If you hear it NS, you should be drinking it. But okay, how is it?
Oh, it's great. Definitely.
We don't have ice this time, but it's fun. But thank you, dude. Thank you for being on the show. We had a show and tell a couple of nights ago, so I know a little bit more about you than I know about you. And we've had some great conversations actually at dinner. Some interesting conversations, and you gave a great presentation earlier this week on, I guess, the technology in the company that you're building at the minute. Why don't we dive straight into it? Like, what are you up to?
Sure. So, in a nutshell, we're actually trying to make video search a lot easier. We're trying to build with a Command F for video. There's a lot of videos, there's trillions of hours of videos that are being produced, but 99% of them goes underutilized. We are very focused on the public security vertical. So we're looking at body cam footages, drone footages, CCTV footages, and we want to really cut time by implementing a stronger search capability.
There's so much in that to dig in. So maybe some background. So you're a Singaporean sort of like national, and then Singapore. There's some background noise. We occasionally have some F-15s that fly over, right? And like I can't tell Singapore to stop. But you serve as part of the sort of national service that like all sort of like young men and women.
I know it's really compulsory for men at this point of time.
Okay,
it might change.
Okay, interesting. But so tell us about that, Eva. Like how long ago was that in Singapore? And just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So when you turn 18, it's mandatory for all Singaporeans to go for national service. So I served mine. There's a 3-month basic military training that everyone goes to. And then after you finish your basic military training, you go to a specialized unit. So I was posted to the Guards Military Intelligence Surveillance Unit, and I was there for 2 years serving my time.
Right, because this is what's very interesting, right? Is that this is not some random person that's thinking about surveillance. It's just that you've actually been in a leading organization in the military, in the intelligence, in the surveillance services, working within those organizations, and I guess that firsthand what best practice looks like. I'm sort of guessing that Singapore is probably one of the sort of like better kind of like nations in the is that sort of fair?
Yes, that's correct. I've studied on ground on some of the stuff, but on top of that, I also spent another 6 years in video tech companies, seeing a very similar problem in the video analytics space. So the current solutions don't really serve the need, and hence we're trying to solve that.
Can you tell us anything top secret before we move on?
No, I think that would be a bit tough for me to reveal anything. I mean, everyone signs a certain agreement that we can't abided by. Yeah.
But it's sort of crazy. A lot of Singaporeans kind of NS as well, right? Everyone has had a role, part to play. And we just had the 60th sort of like anniversary of Singapore, and actually like military is front and foremost kind of at that.
Interestingly, network state experience is what you kind of feel in national service, because you do not know what to expect. When you turn 18, you just go into a different space, meet people, and then you serve your time doing a similar type of direction. Like everyone hits the same direction to try to achieve something. they go through a lot of these physical challenges together and build camaraderie, community over there. That really changes how you think about things. Also, how does it feel to be out of comfort zone generally?
Can you remember how you felt, before and after that
Yeah,
sort of experience?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a single child, so I've
Yeah.
been leading a very, very comfortable life. I used to have a few water beds. So when I got shifted out of that, when everything has to be done, where you have to be really a lot more independent, I think it was quite change for me. But what I loved about it was people wanting to help one another. So it's something that you do not know, you could immediately, when people are leading on to help you, and vice versa in every other activity. I think within 3 months, I got very accustomed and adapted. So I think it's definitely a great experience that I recommend.
Did you think you were gonna like it as much as you did before you
No,
went into it?
I would say no. I
Yeah.
would really not have thought I would have been. I felt like everything I had was being stripped out of me. I was gonna go. Then when you're 18, you're really young, you wanna be doing a lot of other things aside from really just good stuff.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I think I'm broadly, pro national service. As a Brit, we don't have it in the UK, but I went to sort of a very military school. We had like a sort of an active cadet force, we had an armory, we had a shooting range. We were sort of like a recruitment funnel into Sandhurst, the military academy in the UK, and there was just like, I remember, dressing up in my God, I forget even the name, but the uniform, and going out on parade and marching around, polishing your boots,
Yeah.
getting your guns out, shooting, whatever. It just like, yeah. There's a lot there. That's for another conversation. But okay, so you can't tell us any top secrets about your couple years in the intelligence services in Singapore, right? No surprise. But then I want to tie this back to the Zapdos Labs that you're kind of like working on now, right?
Yeah.
Where again, you then spent another 6 years in sort of like video tech,
And
right?
yep.
And one of the points in the beginning is that like there's like a lot of data, or there's like a lot of right? And actually, like processing and understanding and interpreting, and then like snagging and I don't know, just making use
Yep.
of all of this data is like super, super tough. Is that the sort of problems that you were dealing with as well in the video tech, or like what were the 6 years in video tech spent doing?
Yeah. So I was working with a lot of enterprise. We were Standard Chartered, DB, and we had tons of videos to create across different countries. The general challenge is that since they do not know what each other is creating, most of the times they end up creating the same video again. So it could be a talking head video, you could
Yeah.
be shooting in Japan, and in Singapore, the team will be like, oh, we need another talking head video, and they reshoot it again. But if you had the ability to search through them, if you just type talking head, for example, you'll be able to filter out all the team would be able to see it. But it was not possible back then because the infrastructure cost is just too expensive.
Yeah.
Cloud computing costs expensive, processing costs were expensive. So the problem was not solved.
Interesting. And you think now that basically there's been some sort of like, I guess like
Magic.
shifting in the fundamentals
Yeah.
underneath this and the infrastructure that makes what you're doing now possible when
Yeah.
it wasn't before.
So like for Singapore itself, I think it's going to be about 200,000 police cameras going to be installed. Drone fleets are massive. Every 55, there's a new policy that just came out. On top of that, the AI governance framework is already in place. So a lot of, I think the timing is impeccable for
Yeah.
a company like this.
Yeah. So there's a few things there. You're saying that for Singapore particularly, right, that there's already, approaching 250,000 cameras that are out there doing sort of like surveillance.
Yep.
You've then already got the legislation in place that it governs basic use of AI kind of like with this stuff. And then again, just like infrastructure costs have come down to the point that you can actually start to make use, I guess, of this data that's being sort of like generated in a framework that allows it, right?
Yeah.
That does like sort of perfect timing and place sort of like being here. Let's just dive a little bit more. So I guess like what's the problem for Singapore, kind of like this surveillance, kind of like team? Like what's the problem that they have right now? What would you solve? What are you allowing them to do that they couldn't do before?
So I think most efficient and some of the things like Brave you will be able to detect objects very easily, and then you'll be able to store a lot of this. But no one really is building a contextual layer, memory layer on top of it. So you can't search through these footages and keep them and have AI continuously learn what you're searching for. So if you're able to create ability, then the future will be even that you don't have to for a lot of it that you have just based on searches instead of setting pre-alerts in advance. And that I believe will be the different reality. So the last decade was really about recording history, and the next decade will be about turning it into memories.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Well, I guess like what's the overall goal of the system?
Yep. End of the day, I think the overall goal is to save people time ultimately, and also be able to improve the capabilities of securing a nation or a state. Because let's look at even if we look at a nation, let's look at it at a micro level of a condominium or a small real. You have 24/7 footages or even a minimum. You have 24/7 footages, but no one actually really looks at it. There's cards and all on steroids, but it's just not possible to be constantly surveilling it. And when you do want to look at a certain footage, you're then scrubbing through manually through that. So ideally, you want to provide a better system that solves that, and then take this concept and make it in a macro level to be able to serve other states.
Yeah, so basically just allows you to constantly be monitoring.
Yep.
250,000 cameras.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I get where that is. Okay, I mean, even though it does sound like we're getting a lot more religious in monitoring, I think what we are really doing is just monitoring the right things. Maybe that's how I think about it.
Mhm.
Like,
That's what I'm very interested on this point, as opposed to actually a bunch of humans watching all of this stuff, and actually what it's doing, you're building a system that just flags the stuff they should be
yeah,
looking at, right?
exactly.
And not as in it like an efficiency gain or
Yeah.
an effectiveness gain, because like there's just like way less resources required to get the same results, right?
Correct.
Which you're delivering. But it's also just maybe there is the opportunity there for this to be like a more ethical, even like approach, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're not just like watching you go about your shopping; they're only watching when you start stealing stuff off the shelf and putting it in your pockets, right?
Correct.
Like, so there's maybe some sort of opportunity kind of
Yeah.
there as well.
Correct. It feels a lot better because we're not increasing the amount of surveillance. We're working with the same amount of surveillance. We're just improving the efficiency in the surveillance.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And so you trust Singapore implicitly.
Yes, yes, I do.
and you've been a part of the intelligence systems that then sort of like use this, right? So I
Yeah.
think that you're an extremely good and an extremely biased source. Would you sell this to Kim Jong Il in North Korea?
No, unfortunately, no, I would not be.
Would you sell it to the UK government?
Oh, I mean, I have not thought really about across the border.
Yeah.
Right now, I think as a company, we're very positioned to thinking about wanting to solve a problem.
I'm probably about to get put in jail for saying that you shouldn't sell it to the UK, because we are like the most like corrupt organization in the world right now, you know, like Jesus Christ. So, but this is sort of like the risk, right? Like I look at what you're doing and say there's these things that are already happening, and you're helping people do them like much more efficiently and more effectively, right? And actually potentially allowing them to do it again in a more simple, ethical way. But it is like there's this tool that if this gets into the wrong hands, right, this can be used for, you know, different things, I guess.
Yeah, that's correct. I think really as a company, we would want to help only for the good reasons. So if there's any reason that we found that it was being used for unethical reasons, we wouldn't be at the forefront of that. We wouldn't be supporting that. And I mean, as we have tech, there's always a positive side and negative side. You just can't stop people from.
Yeah, completely, right? Like artificial intelligence as a whole, right? It can be used for incredible good or for incredible bad, right?
Correct.
Like, and we need to just like basically try and entrust people to use it for the right things, right? As opposed to police them. But like I said, do you think there are things that we can do that like increase the likelihood that like it is used for the right reasons, you know? But you know, and like just, you know, because again, even if you're not going to sell to North Korea, right? North Korea, very, you know, they're incredible from a technology perspective. Like they have some pretty elite people that are capable of like hacking and borrowing money from the rest of the world to fund their sort of operation. But it's like, so they can build these systems themselves, even sort of like, you know, if we view this, I guess, are there things that we can do that might protect us from these systems being used for the wrong reasons?
I think it's a tough question. We could protect ourselves from the capabilities that they might have, but I believe there's a possible way where we could change the system a little. An example would be a community-owned type of surveillance model. So if everyone could have access to a particular set of cameras that are in place, those camera footages would only be accessed at a certain point where everyone agrees. Like a governance model implemented on top of that. That would say those footage cannot be accessed for their own personal gains, and that could be a way to look at it. But with some challenges that needs to be solved in between them.
Yeah, it's sort of like interesting. Again, it's clear that you're solving a problem, you know, in the first place, right? And then like maybe you can also then help to solve some of these futures problems that are going to come from this. I guess like I sit there thinking about the state that I'm running. I'm like, it's like, well, if I have a family and and something happens to them, it's like, well, even if we're not surveilling at the moment that it happens, like I want us to be able to access technology that like looks after them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, can you then trust that I don't then use this to just like to coerce or whatever it is to control? So, I think it's important technology to build. I really just like hope that we can solve that on behalf of this as well, and we'll see where we get to. But this is again. So we're obviously like looking at Singapore right now as we talk. I'm sorry that you just have to look at this beautiful, kind of like setup we have here. We're looking at beautiful Singapore across the water. I guess like, why here? Why are you spending time building this here? It's not so far for you, but yeah, like, what brought you here?
Yep. I think the answer was actually curiosity. I heard about this speak in 2023. One network stayed in a small event space, I think called the Mandela Club in Singapore.
Oh, sure.
It was, I think at that point of time, I couldn't really comprehend the level of execution that he was thinking about. And then most recently, a friend Nura, he said it's coming. I said, okay, perfect. Like I'm going to turn up and see what I expect. What I wanted to do while I was here was I want to be fully locked in. I want to be concentrated on building the company and to remove all distractions as possible. When I turned up here, I realized I got a little more than what I expected. One of the strongest strengths among all of the facilities that's being provided is the people. So your velocity to do something is a lot higher being elsewhere. So an example would be, let's say, if I wanted to get a website up, that would take me a day or 4 days. Here, just because a few other people have done it, on the table, get it up in a day. You could get it over breakfast. Think about it, breakfast and lunch are up, and I think that is kind of electrifying. And I actually liked it. And of course, the meals are fantastic. Provided and created by Johnson. The protein is covered. At home, I'm normally preparing my meals, so very happy I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, again, it's pretty efficient, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got this like, right, everyone here can help solve these problems, but then you have like people that bring you on a show and talk for an hour, and like it's just like all these like interesting like distractions that are also still being there, right?
No.
Like our dinner conversations, but like
it's actually right. I don't appear a lot on live on content, so perfect. Like, it gets me out of my comfort zone, and I'm out here.
You should do it more. Again, like you're good here. I mean, maybe just again, like final point again, like and your company's at a pretty interesting point, right? Like, where should people come and find you? How might people help? Like, the UK government really wants to put everyone in jail. Like what's like tell us a bit more about the stage that you're right now at the minute, like what you're looking for and how people might find you.
Yep. So right now we are working on a couple of projects with one. We're still in discussion of that, so we can't really give details. We're going to be fundraising at this point of time, but also happy to be speaking to any other customers who have huge video libraries who would want to implement this solution.
Yeah, because I guess the point is, that's one interesting thing to bring out finally as well. Like it's helpful for this industry that you know kind of like well and that we're here, but actually you're solving problems in lots of other industries, right? It doesn't have to be used purely for surveillance, right? This is about more efficiently understanding what's happening in video. Are there some other kind of like good use cases that are worth kind of like talking about?
Oh yeah, for sure. So aviation is one more where we are in discussion with. So they have ground operations where they are bringing luggages across for each of the main roads. And their biggest challenge was compliance with drivers were speeding, not following SOPs. So again, we're bringing back the videos. There are video cameras in each of these vehicles. We are recording it and then flagging those alerts if they're speeding too fast. We give them some alerts that, you got to slow down. We're recording some points to reward them if they're doing like staying compliant for the month.
Yeah.
So not always very intense stuff like this is possible. Very much. Like other
it's just so interesting. We had this discussion. I don't know if you were. We did this. We're having a discussion on AI and yesterday, and sort of I joked this. I think there's some research, and this is like uncited and probably wrong. Call me out, please. But like, there's like an optimal level of corruption. Yeah. If you have zero corruption, it's not that useful. You can't sort of like grease some business to get it done. It harms GDP growth if you don't have any corruption. Obviously, if you got too much, then everything just goes to shit. Yeah. There's this like optimal level of corruption. I guess like speed limits as an example that you
Yeah.
brought up there is sort of like an interesting one, right? Where there were just these rules that exist in certain places. Like, and I don't know how. I think Singapore is stricter, right?
Yeah.
Like in the UK, no one observes the bloody speed limit, right? Like everyone just breaks them. And I think there's something challenging there because it's like that's almost like an element of corruption. It's almost like an accepted corruption. But I wonder if then actually it's that we've undermined just like the body of law that we should care about. Because it's just maybe not fit for purpose. And it's maybe again like the things like this where actually it's like you actually start to maybe enforce laws that you set better.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe encourage us to actually like set better laws in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and actually agree what we really want to happen around here, as opposed to there's some stuff in writing, no one cares what it is. Right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes people don't see the implications of their actions. So you might think that other speed by 10 kilometers per hour. The problem is when you bang on someone by just that increased speed, someone loses their life, then
Yeah.
it's a bit tricky, right? So
Yeah.
I think we need a system to enforce things. What has not been working, just telling people that, oh, this is crime. Or this is not good.
Yeah.
So if we either let them know in advance, do this,
Yeah.
mitigate them, reward them at the right time, for doing it right.
That's so interesting. Is that an interesting implication of your system? Like, you maybe are being able to monitor.
Yeah.
Can you like warn people? It's not quite Tom Cruise, pre-crime, but it's almost like, hey, you are breaking the law, guys. Why don't you stop? Otherwise, like we're going to alert.
Yeah, correct. I think we just need the video data source set to it and deactivated when it detects a certain speed.
Yeah. That could just be interesting. A lot of stuff, right? Like just like it's very interesting. But okay, thank you so much for coming and have a chat. So like, where do people find you? Zapdoslabs.com.
Yeah.
Okay, zapdoslabs.com. Perfect. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Okay, guys, we are on to our last kind of like guest today, and maybe this is going to be the most theoretical. It's definitely sort of like topical with everything that's been happening this week in the news with sort of like global kind of like geopolitics. Yeah, and I think we're even going to have the opportunity for some show and tell. So please, I thought we need to start like get some like round of applause like for the last guest. Mate, how you doing?
Hi, it's James.
Pleasure. Nice to see you. Come in again. You want to crack open the next coffee?
I'll just drink whatever he's having.
I'll get
we were roommates, so we share everything. So all good.
That's actually, I put like some leftovers last week in the fridge, and then like I just forget. It's kind of like there.
I heard it's amazing, right?
The only reason I'm not drinking it is because like it's just too late in the day. Like I did this last week, and it was fucking great. And then it's like, oh my god, 2 a.m, I'm still like sat there, like I'm just being more disciplined on this, right? But oh Christ, like welcome. Thank you for being here. Why are you here?
Well, maybe just why am I a network state? Just to put that into context. So I'm actually being part of Balaji's first or earliest community, 1729.
Yep.
That's back in 2021. So we used to join his lectures in the metaverse.
Yep.
So we already talk about all these crazy ideas at that time. So when I heard that from the cloud to land, it's actually becoming a reality. So I registered. Since last year, I was quite afraid coming here alone. So that's very happy now that I invited Ganesh, who's willing to join me here doing all the cool stuff and the silly stuff together as well.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, right? It's like a theme through everyone that actually bring on the show. And I think people don't realize that NS is basically being live here in the physical world for 6 months for all intents and purposes. But actually, it's been, Buddy's been working on this for 30 years, right? Do you want to explain what I always think of? 1726 or
1729.
29, whatever it is, right? Yeah. I had all these, if you met Salman, he had all of the POAPs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I don't know how many you had attended of those sort of things.
A couple of them, some of them, yeah.
What was that? Just explain for the audience what that was.
So that was basically his first kind of like Discord channel where he brings different people in. Most of them are from like engineering, cryptos. I was there because I used to write.
Yep.
So I have a blog, so we have like a writing guild over there. We talk about what Balaji is talking these days already at that time. So like network state, politics, technologies, AI, and so many different things. And yeah, at that time, I think he is actually still writing in network state too. So it's also good to be part of it, balancing ideas. And maybe the stories that is also one of the motivation for me to in the end start a company or do something online. I met tons of great people over there.
And then you did, was it almost immediately after that? Like when did you start your next, the next company? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it goes to our rabbit hole. So after that, I think I went a bit on crypto, joined like other DAOs and community as well. Met great people, and then somehow I met a very young founder who said, "I think you can do it as well." So I applied to like one accelerator program, where I met Ganesh actually a couple of years back.
Oh, amazing.
We got in, we got our first investment, and quit my job full time, and yeah, here I am.
And what was that then? What were you building? What was the startup?
So initially, I was working on a very different ideas that I'm doing right now. We're working on blockchain-based carbon credits. Okay. Meaning that if you heard about the concept of carbon credits of CO2,
Sure.
we tokenize them. We use satellite imagery to analyze it and basically sell it to companies who like to offset.
Interesting. You guys having some chats about interpreting video data from low satellites, density and coverage, whatever it is, right?
Exactly. Well, at that time, he's doing something else as well. So I think we're both very flexible on exploring ideas. But one of the technologies that I'm exploring or is actually using satellite imagery to analyze different images.
So we just did a trip to Tiamat. I went this weekend with like 10 other people.
Where is it?
Tiamat. So it's just a few hours over there, and it's like this beautiful island. Anybody. Right?
Oh wow!
Like, we got like a boat, then we did another 2 stops on the boat, and then we got another smaller boat to get into our place to stay. And it's just incredible. I had a reef immediately off sort of the beach. I swam with sharks on different occasions.
So you can swim in the beach
there. Yeah, you can swim. Yeah. It's completely safe. It's super awesome. But why did I bring it up? We also did some hikes.
Yeah,
it was quite funny. We were like 50 meters from like the nearest, not 50. 150 meters from the next resort, which had a nice restaurant, right?
Oh,
but actually there was no path that gets us. You had to go on like basically like a hike to get there. We have it's going to be some funny footage we'll bring out at some point. Basically, we had to travel 150 meters up in the dark to get this. You look along the beach like this took us 20 minutes. We just walk. But it wasn't all I was bringing up. I wanted to bring up actually that like hiking around, and I was looking at the maps, and I was like, you can see the trees, you can see the area of the forest that the top of the tree is taken, because you can see the outline of the tree. And I was like, wait, I wish there was something that could just interpret this image, find the biggest tree, so then we can all hike to the biggest tree and like hug the biggest tree. But then is that possible? Is the tech there? Where is it? Can I subscribe?
I think what is actually surprising that not a lot of people know, the technologies are really advanced. Basically, you can see anything from space, either what you said or also creating 3D recreations or image of it. You can measure things. You can actually pick your neighbor, so to say, right? It's just a bit, or it's still quite expensive to get the high resolution image. Technologies are there for sure.
Interesting. Well, okay, let's not go too off piste. But I do recommend a trip to Tiamat. I'm probably even saying it wrong. Okay, so you were playing around in that sort of like carbon credit space, but you ended up somehow quite quickly getting to drones.
Right. I know it's quite a funny story for everyone that I talk to. So once we build that, it's very hard to sell. As you know, a lot of the Web3 ideas sounds great, but when we went to the market, it's very, very hard. And then we basically under going back to the drawing board, testing different ideas. And we're actually based in Berlin, Germany. He's German, I'm originally Indonesian, and he has spent time like Ganesh as well in the German army and special force over there. So he said that, hey, actually, this is the same technology, which is image, video processing, autonomous systems, also for drones. We know nothing new shit about drones at all. We just went out there and we met a good friend of his, a Ukrainian company who actually are building drones in Ukraine.
Which year was this?
That was just like summer last year.
Okay, right. So this is already like post-conflict, and you were like, chill, gonna go. Was it Kiev? Where did you go?
So we were still in Germany, but then there's a lot of innovation happening. All the Ukrainian guys are looking for new technology. Right? So we got in contact with one guy and said that, hey guys, can you build the software for our drones? This is how it looks like. We're basically just like, we need money, and we just say yes. So we do a very quick sprint, changes everything, and we managed to do a pilot, and it's flying, and that's how it all started.
Interesting. Like a lot to dive into. Like, let's be really clear. So you were parked up in Berlin. War is raging. It's probably like 1,000 miles to the east, and then you started talking to some of the people on the front line about the problems that they're sort of like facing, and then you started building solutions that were being implemented and used on the front line in the Ukraine-Russia war. Is that sort of fair?
Let's say it's being tested there, so there's a lot of like legal parts as well on this thing. So our solution was tested a lot over there and then being used by other companies on their drones, right? But maybe what's the most important thing is that these innovations are now rapidly happening in that part of the world. So I'm also passionate to bring this now more on the education side, sharing this stories to other people, especially in this region in South.
You've gone crazy because this is like in a year long, you've gone from like concept to selling that company like out already, right? And
Yes.
and now and I mean, it's just sort of yeah. I mean, how much can you talk about sort of like the difference or the technology that you were sort of like using on the front line? And again, I think that part of what you were building, right, was sort of like the making the drones more autonomous,
Right?
Like
right.
the front line is sort of broadly insane.
Right.
In terms of the, I don't know how many drones are sort of like used every single day, like what the level of production sort of is, right? But like there's a drone war, even just like an arms race, in terms of making these more and more capable, and at the same time there's no defense, right? And you can jam these things, right? And then it's like, okay, but if you jam your drone, is it useless, or actually can, if there's no human pilot, can you build technology which is able actually to help it execute its mission, right? So this was sort of the problem that you were kind of like focused on. Is that fair?
I'll give you a real example, right?
Oh, nice. Straight in.
Maybe take a step back. I'll start with like the basic, where everyone here probably knows it's a DJI drone. I mean, we're using Mike as well, that they're really good at drones. So these are like kind of a consumer-friendly good to use to take pictures and so on. It's a dumb product, to be honest, but then the software is really good.
Yeah.
So what happened now in defense or in frontline, whatever you call it, is that people are utilizing. So basically, this is a very basic Python drone that you can code and program. We just built it like the last 20 minutes. It just arrived there.
Yeah, I literally, this box was not open like 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
So just to prove that it's fairly very easy, right? With this, it's basically a toy. But what makes this so powerful is that you can program it and you can actually create whatever you want out of it if you use different models, different capabilities, and so on. So this is exactly what we did. What we did is that we're building a model that is deployed directly on the drone on a computer such as NVIDIA Jetson, Raspberry Pi, and so on. What are they doing is what you said, James. The most important thing is for autonomous navigation, because GPS are limited. It was being jammed, and it's very hard to actually for drones to do the mission.
And so what do we have? So you're saying that again. So we've got a full one that was made before.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a Chinese manufactured drone, say from a DJI, right?
Yeah,
it's very good.
Yeah.
What I got here is actually I just want to play around. It is an education drone. You can just install it, assemble it, and then you can program it with just a simple Python code.
Does this work? No, I mean, is this lacking a battery? Is that what it's?
I just need to install it a bit, like we just heard, but then we should fly this afternoon. So it's fairly.
So maybe we'll like post a link afterwards. This, right? I guess okay, great. So the point is that with this DJI out of the box, you can't play with the software.
You can't. So it's a closed ecosystem, right? But those tools basically you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. This is, nice surveillance tech connected to the previous one, DJI.
Exactly.
So this company's actually not. Before I'm using DJI mics, and before I bought it, actually, I checked. Was like, is it on the banned list of technology we're not allowed to sort of like use?
Well, that's funny. Actually, DJIs are partly banned in the US, and a couple of Chinese drone companies that are banned, not because what they're using it for, but because of the data. They're scared that the data is actually being taken into something.
Yeah, completely. They're just like, you don't realize that you're actually streaming it all straight back to the CCP.
Exactly.
Who's then using some incredible new, technology to maybe monitor lots of volume of video data at the same time.
It's just like Google, right? Google are taking our data as well, and now we're taking a different data.
This is not close. So this is actually the software you can actually play with.
You can play with that, and not just there's tons of different solutions or ground robots or dog robots, whatever, right? Those are different. This is what I'm passionate about right now as well, to kind of like share that this looks sophisticated, it looks complicated, but like, you can just try it out and play with it as well.
But just explain to me again. So, like, help me understand the range of possibilities. So I now have access to the software. What does that mean that I can do? So, if you have one of these drones right now, I'm like, okay, right. Well, I fly it up and down. I can fly it around to take video of stuff. I can, like, what does then now being able to like play with the software like allow me to sort of like do the like do before?
Yeah. I'll give it an example. For example, let's start with the basic one, right? So you can just create a simple computer vision model, track a guy who's quite tall with the blonde hair. So probably will track you here. You know what I mean? Like this is something you can do fairly easily. But if you go a bit more advanced, for example, you want to do an inventory tracking in a warehouse, and you want to count the different boxes. Actually, there's a guy here called Farah.
Sure.
Actually built those kind of company before. So those kind of things is something that you can do on your own and deploy directly. And that's kind of like one startup idea there.
Yeah. So, for example, you could train it to recognize actually me particularly, right? You could create the model that then like follows you around yourself. Would that be possible?
Exactly. With a basic, or also like lending. For example, lending is a big thing because you're delivering drugs, or drugs in some kind of medical way. That's what I mean.
Sure.
Usually, it's very, very difficult. You don't have a good pilot, so you need to have those kinds of software to do the job.
Yeah, but it's sort of interesting because that's all you could train the model to identify something you do not like, and you can stick a drone up. And at the minute, this drone here, it can't take very much payload,
right?
Like this drone cannot, right? The point is, you've got DJIs that have like 80 kilogram payloads. I think like the most recent ones can sort of like take. Is that?
Yes, it could be like more. Like we work with a drone company in Europe that folks actually can transport a human. So, for example, if you're sick, let's say you got an accident in Switzerland of a ski accident, right? Usually you go with helicopter. Now the goal is that they can send a drone, put the guy in, and then they fly back. So that will be like 200 kg or something like that.
Yeah, I guess one of the challenges we have is that like the innovation lead in the world right now is China for this stuff. Is that fair?
I think it's fair to say in terms of manufacturing. Probably Jake mentioned that as well. But in terms of like software and applications, tons of other countries and companies are also doing very, very well, I would say.
Ukraine, probably the number one in the world at this stuff now, like the absolute, or at least they're deploying the very, very latest like software on these.
Yeah, definitely. So Ukraine, a lot of like very, very young teams there. There's like I think now more than 300 or 400 drone startups in Ukraine alone. But in the world, Russia definitely is also good. Turkey is also very advanced in this thing. Iran, so it really depends, right? Is it defense tech, or is it more like other things, which China actually very good also in defense because they want to sell globally, right?
Yeah.
So they actually talk more about like other industries as well.
Yeah. And DJI is the world's largest drone company. DJI.
They are the world's largest by far.
A mile. But this is sort of interesting, right? Because what we've just basically described, again, even with this model here that we've just bought from the shelf, you can't carry much of a payload on this. But if you've got a bigger one, you can carry a payload. You can train it on a particular face. You can fly it into a random city. You can fly around to it, find someone that can go stay with them, right? I guess like the point is that all of that can happen without a human being involved.
Technically, yes. The question is that the laws and regulations.
You want to talk a little bit about then? So so again, the point is we've got technology now that is capable of identifying, seeking, identifying, and then blowing up next to someone, right, without any human involvement at all, right? This is like the AI like autonomous systems that you've been warned about, basically, right? They already exist. They're already there. It works right now. However, what we have that stands in the way of that is legal system and structure. So to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, maybe before we jump in on that, I'll give you a bit of like the history, right? For example, in Germany during World War II, when the Americans are bombing different cities, actually they are relying on the human pilot heist. So what happened is that they missed tons of them. So instead of like bombing ammunition warehouses, they bomb church, houses, and so on. So the question is that should we rely on the human, or we should make a better, a precision accuracy, right? So that's actually being taken right now in the space of drones and autonomous warfare as well. That autonomous system is actually better in delivering the job, but there is still a legal. I'm not a lawyer, just to put it out there. There is a legal framework. I think it's Geneva Conventions or something like that. That still put a law that it has to have a human in the loop. And if you watch the movie, if someone asks for a nuclear like this would be a president or someone to press a button.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as well now in the drone field, that someone actually has to make the decision at the end to decide if that is something that needs to be neutralized or do the job for.
It's interesting because I know that even in Israel, like every unit has a lawyer that's actually almost like embedded in the unit, or at least the battalion, that is able to make a legal call on any given sort of like action to ensure that it's compliant with all these sorts of laws. Ukraine's obviously, or maybe there's not the same kind of power dynamics of Israel Palestine as there is in sort of like Ukraine Russia, right? Like how in it, I mean, like, is there now a lawyer embedded in every sort of like frontline drone unit where they can ring up and say, hey, yeah, can I get a 1 second action?
Right.
Or is the fact that now this law exists means that we're losing more lives? Maybe they're not able to act as fast as they should. Like, how is this actually working in practice across a front, which is, just to have an idea of drones which are like launched every day is tens of thousands? Is it like is it 100,000 on the front line in Ukraine, Russia? Like, do you have an idea of the volume?
I know the production volume in a year, it could be a couple of 100,000, and this year alone they plan to do a couple of millions. So I mean, if you just divide it into the year, right?
Yeah,
so it goes into 1,000, let's say.
Yeah.
But maybe going to your point, it's very interesting that what we have or what we are doing right now is all programmatic, right? So just to make sure that you program that in your software, then this will be audited or be tested anyway. All right, so you can actually check what are the things that you're doing there. But on the flip side, what is very interesting is also automatic or autonomous defense. You can't rely on the bad guys to like, oh, someone has to confirm that and so on, right? You should actually have, like, what Israel is very good at is autonomous defense, like what they call the Iron Dome. So if you see something coming up, you can actually do something about it.
Yeah.
You can do that with drones as well, because drones is actually the best thing to attack other drones.
And it's the same. Is there a human in the loop that's required to, if there's a soldier which is about to run in and blow themselves up, even like a suicide soldier that's going to come in, if that's been detected by a drone, is there still the requirement to have the human in the loop if it's defensive technology?
A good question. So I don't know the answer yet. I think it really depends country by country, but I'm sure that internationally there is something. But what I understand, for example, now a lot of the companies and countries are building what is called interceptor drones. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, sure.
So basically, I mean, take an example of this drone. I mean, usually it looks different, more like a plane. They will put it somewhere in the park or something. So if it sees any drones or something else coming, it will just fly autonomously.
Yep.
Right? Why it's important is actually not just the technology, but the cost. Have you heard about asymmetric warfare, what's called right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're sending like Challenger tanks that cost $20 million a pop to get blown up by a $500 DJI.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that's why they're building also the competitors of enemies of it, which is also a couple of $100.
Yeah, it is sort of insane, right? But we think this is a better defensive technology than offensive technology. Is that sort of like fair? Is this like one of the challenges that we have, right? That like if offensive technology is like superior to defensive technology on the whole, then it's easier to start and maybe win sort of offenses. Whereas if like, defensive technology was like overwhelmingly cheap and powerful, then everyone just invests in that, and then no one can actually start war. It's like can't get over like defenses. Is this sort of like a boon for sort of like for defensive technology, or is this like every defensive nation's dream?
Well, I always believe, like Balaji, everyone here, technology is just a tool, right? Depends on what you like to use it for. But looking into the real case, it's at the end, it's a game theory, right? So you actually make sure that you have something so that the other guys will be there to actually fight you. I forgot who said that violence can only be controlled by if you can do violence upon them, right? So that's how I see it.
Yeah. No, it's not just interesting; it's obviously extremely sort of like relevant, right? And like the West as a whole has been again, we just sort of have militaries that are maybe not fit for the actual sort of like battles that are sort of like happening sort of like today, right? Because like part of what you're doing here with the education piece is sort of saying that, hell, like I mean, again, I think like, I think someone much smarter than me said that basically like drones are sort of this like endless technology where like you can just like you just keep on working on them, right? Like if you can manufacture them 1% more efficiently, or they can go 1% faster, than just like all of these games are just going to matter. Like, this is like the end sort of like technology or whatever it is, right? And so you think you recommend founders that are sort of like thinking about what to get involved with to come and help out and get involved with the stuff?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that in the show and tell as well. There's a lot of things happening right now, not just with drones, but with like sea vehicles, ground robots, also medical part. We met with some guys doing an autonomous medical robot with your skin using the same technology basically. And these things are out there because it's becoming much cheaper. Models are becoming better, so it's a perfect time.
Interesting. But so come back to this. What are you doing like right now?
Well, right now I'm partly like chilling, exploring new ideas.
Yeah.
I'm doing a couple of consulting projects on drone as well. But my main topic, I'm actually building a new drone company based in Indonesia, where I'm from. And we see that there is a white spot, a white gap in this region. No one is actually building this stuff already.
Interesting. Did you grow up in Bali? Right?
That's where my family are from. Yeah.
Okay, family is from. So that's where did you spend your childhood sort of like there, or?
Yes, I was there till high school. Actually, there where I met my co-founder before because he also used to live there.
Yeah, it's just very interesting. Yeah, like a lot of our, we're not. How far is like a 3-hour flight?
2-hour flight, yeah.
Right. There's a lot of people here that like pop out for the weekend. Like, this is very interested in your views on Bali. It's probably like more gone through those sort of like square miles of sort of like any developing Asian sort of like nation,
right?
But yeah, if you want to go and get clean water in a street, or like the infrastructure is pretty sort of like poor. Maybe it's not quite the same topic as drones, but how do you feel about government corruption in Bali?
Well, let's keep it in English so people will not listen to it. But I think there is a corruption, of course. I mean, it's hard to say. I also have. My uncle is political as well. There, like his local department, stuff like that. But I think corruption comes from the law itself. The law is not enforced. It's not giving the right incentive. Like in Singapore, we just see it. The politicians get quite a good salary and quality. That's what they don't need to do.
Yeah.
Other projects. What happened with countries like Indonesia is that they see all these businessmen and people are getting quite a lot of monies from all these businesses. So what they do is that they just try to get something right. So I'm not blaming them. I know it's not right, but I think the system is just need to be improved.
I mean, do you not agree? Like why isn't there better utilities, sanitation? Like just like, given it's such a everyone heard of.
Right.
Maybe not everyone's heard of like Surabaya, right? But everyone's heard of this place. Come to where they spend a fortune. There's so much money that's flowed through that place. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's sort of like tricky, but it's like I mean, you're also like a really amazing success story. Right? One of the things I sort of like also find interesting in Bali is that you sort of have like a, sort of like there's like all of the, foreign kind of expats that go there and live and like not take advantage, but like benefit from like the much lower cost of living they have because there's a an incredibly peaceful, amazing local population. And again, I think like the average person there dreams of working like in the W on the waterfront, one of the right? Whereas like you're like this incredible success story there. So like, I mean, how do you feel about that sort of like, at times it almost feels like there's like a two-tier, society in Bali.
I think it really depends. For example, it's benefited a lot the locals who are landowners, who have businesses. Like a lot of my friends are there making tons of money as well by doing cafes, hotels, and so on. But definitely there's a lot of like, not really unskilled, but like, let's say low-skilled laborers that just need to do the job with a very, very low wages, right?
Yeah.
So I see that education, I mean, I'm a big fan of education as well. This is what is missing. For example, just one basic thing, when they see people who are working in a cafe and nomads, they say like, they don't even know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like people asking like, what are they even there?
Yeah.
If they learn from like, great people out there who's working there, I think that we should have this transfer of knowledge, right? Which is currently not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't plan to run on a political platform, whatever, but I do see that this should be happening in very, very soon. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Again, I know Surabaya, I've had some incredible engineers that I've worked with that have been based in right? So like awesome people, they are there, right? I mean, hopefully you can be an example for more Indonesians to start getting involved in maybe helping out with these things. But Oh God. Okay. Well, yes. So where's the best people for people to find you? Like, what's next for you? Any last words to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on X. As I said, I'm building a new company here on this topic. So happy to chat. Or if you know anyone who are interested, wherever they are, I'm happy to connect as well.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your service. Thanks for being on the show as well. And I
Happy
think
to
for
be here.
everyone here, thank you very much for listening. I hope it's been interesting as we've sort of toured the force of the benefits and potential negatives of all these incredible technologies. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Oh, it's almost 4 o'clock now, James.